For more on trade, China, the latest on the government shutdown, let's bring in Mick Mulvaney. He is the former White House chief of staff and former director of the OMB under President Trump's first administration. Mick, it's great to have you back on the show. Welcome.
Hey, Morgan. Thanks for having me.
So we got a lot to cover with you today. But first, let's start with China, which seems to be getting a lot of the focus from investors today. This framework agreement, what are you anticipating, especially since we have seen this erosion of relations between the two countries? And I don't know that we're really going to go back to where we were even just 6 months ago.
Yeah, I don't think you're going back to the warm fuzzies anytime soon. I also don't think you're going to a full-blown trade war. You know, we used to describe the relationship with the Soviet Union in the 50s, 60s, and 70s as the Cold War. We sort of achieved this cold peace with the Chinese. I don't expect a full-blown agreement. I think you're going to hear the word framework emphasized a lot because that leaves a lot of negotiating room. When Xi and Trump get together, they're going to have to announce something. You cannot have such a highly touted meeting and not have something to show for it. So there'll be something that comes out of these meetings, but I don't think you'll see anything close to a comprehensive deal and certainly not a final deal. So frameworks are mostly what we're going to see coming out of the next several days.
So in light of that, should we be focusing more attention elsewhere? Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, final details around a Korea trade deal this week, potentially. And then, of course, talk about Mexico. And I realize Eamon Javers just batted some of that down. And even some talk about the possibility of a deal with Brazil.
Yeah, let's pick out a couple of those. The agreement, I think, with Malaysia is a lot bigger than folks realize. Part of that was a big part of that was rare earths, which Malaysia evidently has a good bit of those. There's also going to be some discussion that's not getting much attention in Japan. Japan has been interested in rare earths for a long time. They've been a lot more concerned about the Chinese chokehold over rare earths than we have for several years now. So they're sort of ahead of us on the curve, and you should expect Donald Trump to have that issue raised to him when he is in meeting with the new Prime Minister Takaichi in Tokyo. The Japanese do have some rare earth resources. I was just there. One of the reasons I'm struggling through this interview, Morgan, is I just got off a plane from Tokyo last night. I'm a little bit jet lagged, but in every single meeting I was in, they wanted to know whether or not the Americans might be interested in co-investing with the Japanese to develop Japanese domestic rare earths. So you should be hearing more about that, I would think, as well.
Mick, I never would have known. John Ford here. Thanks for being on. It's unclear who's going to get the political blame for this shutdown, which party. But some of the polling I've seen recently shows Republicans getting blame in the high 40s among independents and Democrats in the low 30s. That wouldn't be good if this were toward the end of 2026, from your perspective, I'm sure. So what matters the most economically in both messaging and what the president can do policy and executive move-wise to sort of alleviate some of these issues, regardless of what the Democrats end up doing here?
Yeah, I take most of the polls on the shutdown and throw them away. No one ever asks the follow-up question, which is, do you blame somebody enough to change the way you're going to vote at the next election? Because the answer is zero. Look, I've been through long shutdowns in 2013. I was the OMB director during the longest shutdown in history in 2019. That doesn't move the needle one way or the other in elections, and most elected officials know that. Look, I'm here in Washington, D.C., and I got to tell you, it's eerily quiet. I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to end a shutdown when they're not even here to talk to each other. I don't think either side has much interest right now in ending the shutdown. The Democrats like what they see in the polling, to your point. The Republicans like the fact that the executive authority under Donald Trump is going up dramatically during the shutdown. It's one of the things I think folks are missing is that all the Democrats who were complaining about Donald Trump's overreach of his executive authority, those Democrats have just given him now more authority because the Office of Management and Budget essentially runs the government during a shutdown. But as things stand right now, short of, I think, a dramatic change at the airports, and that's what I would watch. The air traffic controllers are supposed to get paid tomorrow. Of course, they won't. They are out of sequence, so they're coming sort of earlier than the other federal workers. When they don't get paid tomorrow, watch the delays, and I think that may end up driving lawmakers back to the negotiation.